Hey there YouTube lovers, my name is BB8 and today I am going to share my top 10 3DS games that deserve remasters. I did do something similar with the GameCube last year, so I thought I would share my list of 3DS games for the remaster treatment. 4 games on this list didn't originate from the 3DS, which does sound like cheating, but I think deserve a second round of remasters or re-releases. It may be too late for these games to get remasters on Nintendo Switch, but Nintendo's next console can still give more games from other platforms a chance to be re-released. So, without further ado, let's get into it, shall we? Number 10, The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time 3D, plus Majora's Mask 3D. I am aware that both are a part of the Nintendo Switch Online Nintendo 64 collection, but personally, I've had a debate with myself lately on how Ocarina of Time should get its re-release. Because I see the Zelda game after Echoes of Wisdom being a remake, and I think that remake would end up being Ocarina of Time. But I think if it was to be re-released as the Hero of Time collection and not a solo remake, I think it will be similar to the first Xenoblade game where they changed the graphics completely. The 3DS version does look solid visually, but I think they can improve on the graphics by adding cel shading like they did with other Zelda games, and modernizing the controls as well. I do think some extras, like a music player and an art gallery, would be added in as well, and since Ocarina of Time sold well on both the N64 and 3DS, I don't know if NSO will impact the sales of this collection, but I think Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, both remastered into one cartridge, will be a great package for the next Zelda release. And I think if Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask from the 3DS was to be remastered into a collection, I think it would be marketed as The Legend of Zelda, The Hero of Time collection. Number 9, Poochy and Yoshi's Woolly World. Yes, we already have Crafted World on the Nintendo Switch, but the only reason I'm including it here is because I might not do a top 10 video like this, but for Wii U games, since there isn't that many games left from the Wii U to bring over, since Mario Party 10 and Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival are not good games, so they can stay on the Wii U. But I think Yoshi's Woolly World is one of the last Wii U games that could be ported over. Now, since Donkey Kong Country Returns has made it slightly likely for this game to get a re-release, I think the game would run in Crafted Worlds engine, with both the Wii U and 3DS versions merged together, with some features from them consoles taken out, with the features of the new console replacing it. It may be too late for it to have a place on the Nintendo Switch, but I think it will have a place in the next console's library by year 3. And if it was to be remastered, it would be marketed as Poochy and Yoshi's Woolly World Deluxe. Number 8, Kirby Planet Robobot. One question: why was this not a remake on Nintendo Switch? I thought Star Allies was a mediocre game, and I didn't play Forgotten Land or Return to Dreamland Deluxe, so I don't have a full impression on the current Kirby games. But if I had to pick one Kirby game to get a re-release on the next console, my choice immediately goes to Planet Robobot, because the game has well-designed levels and bosses to work with, and a remaster could add a comic book-like graphics like Return to Dreamland Deluxe, and an extra campaign starring Susie similar to the Magolor epilogue in Return to Dreamland Deluxe. And if Kirby Planet Robobot was to be re-released, it would be marketed as Kirby Planet Robobot Deluxe. Number 7, Fire Emblem Fates. While Fire Emblem is the only Nintendo franchise I haven't gotten into yet, I've had a lot of fun playing as the characters in Smash Bros. And since the Revelation path isn't available anymore due to the Nintendo 3DS and Wii U eShops shutting down, practically making it lost media, the Revelation path being included in a Fates port could preserve it. And I think Fire Emblem Fates will combine Birthright, Conquest, and Revelation into one definitive edition, where players can choose their path, just like Fire Emblem Three Houses, which perfected the formula, and I think it could work for Fates as well. And I think the graphics will be reworked to something similar which was shown in the trailers for Fire Emblem Fates, meaning that the graphics would look like Three Houses and Fire Emblem Engage. And if Fire Emblem Fates was to be re-released, it would be marketed as Fire Emblem Fates Definitive Edition. Number 6. Kirby's Extra Epic Yarn. I've always wanted to play Epic Yarn growing up, since it appeared to have a fun looking art style. But with Extra Epic Yarn going to 3DS instead of the Switch, it felt like a right remaster, wrong platform kind of situation. Because the gameplay looks creative from its trailers and the footage. And I am a creative person, so Kirby's Epic Yarn does look my type of game. And if Donkey Kong Country Returns can have 2 re-releases, so can Kirby's Epic Yarn. And if Epic Yarn was to get a remaster, I think it will upscale the graphics from the Wii version with the extra Epic Yarn content added in, with some new stuff as well, such as an extra campaign starring Prince Fluff sharing his backstory. And an Epic Yarn port would be marketed as Kirby's Epic Yarn Deluxe. Number 5. Detective Pikachu. The original Detective Pikachu is a tricky one to work with, only because the original game doesn't have much to do outside of the main story. Neither did its 2023 sequel, Detective Pikachu Returns. Detective Pikachu is a series that feels like it needs a reboot, due to the lack of content between both games. But if Detective Pikachu from the 3DS was to get a remaster, I would see it being a $30 eShop re-release with a physical release at a later date. And I think Detective Pikachu as a game series will get a reboot on the next console, just to make the gameplay feel like less from the 3DS. But for now, Detective Pikachu on the 3DS is best to get an eShop release for its remaster, and I think it would be marketed as Detective Pikachu Remastered. Number 4. Fire Emblem Awakening. I know I already included a Fire Emblem game on the list, but Fire Emblem Awakening makes sense because this game helped popularize Fire Emblem in the West, as you can see through the Metacritic score. And a port would be great, but I don't know in terms of visuals if it would work on the next console. I would see them reworking Fire Emblem Awakening or potentially remaking it so the graphics match Three Houses and Engage, with all of the paid DLC from the 3DS original bundled in as well. But since Fire Emblem Genealogy of the Holy War is rumored to get a remake, I think Awakening and Fates ports would come after Holy War and before Fire Emblem 19, and it would be marketed as Fire Emblem Echoes Awakening, similar to how they titled Fire Emblem Echoes Shadows of Valencia, and how they're yet to title the rumored remake Fire Emblem Echoes Genealogy of the Holy War. Number 3. Persona Q and Persona Q2. I've seen multiple lists include Persona Q Shadow of the Labyrinth on them, but why not both Persona Q Shadow of the Labyrinth and Persona Q2 New Cinema Labyrinth? After all, both games go for ridiculous amounts of money on eBay only because the shutdown of the 3DS and Wii U eShop, meaning that both games are completely inaccessible. So I think remaking both on not just Nintendo's next console, but on Xbox Series X and S, PlayStation 5 and PC as well, since it's a non-Nintendo game, I think this can actually give a Persona game that released at bad timing a second chance, since Persona Q2 New Cinema Labyrinth was the last ever game to release on the 3DS, which unfortunately underperformed in sales, so I think re-releasing both on multiple platforms could give it a second chance, and I think it would be marketed as Persona Q Collection Reload. Number 2, Kid Icarus Uprising. It was obvious, but well deserved, that Kid Icarus Uprising would be featured on the list. My only negative with Kid Icarus Uprising is the control style, so I think a re-release would improve the controls and a new campaign would be added in, since people have been demanding a new Kid Icarus game for years. So I think a new campaign can be used as an appetizer to keep people waiting. But would a remaster work without Sakurai? Because I have heard rumors Sakurai might be retiring from the business, so only time will tell. And I think an Uprising remaster would be marketed as Kid Icarus Uprising Remastered. Number 1, The Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds plus Triforce Heroes. There isn't that many Zelda games left to re-release, remaster, or remake, with a few exceptions that should just be left alone, because they just aren't that good at all. But one of the games that deserves a remaster is A Link Between Worlds. The gameplay is fantastic and definitely deserves to break free from the 3DS. But what about the other 3DS Zelda game, Triforce Heroes? As underrated as Triforce Heroes is, it didn't sell as many copies as A Link Between Worlds. But if both 3DS Zelda games got re-released, they would both be released together, which could give Triforce Heroes a second chance, even if the controls need to be reworked to match the control standards of Nintendo's next console. And since we don't have an online Zelda game currently available on the Nintendo Switch, I do think Nintendo's next console could have an online Zelda game. Bringing Triforce Heroes over could allow for a multiplayer Zelda game to finally happen, and I think it would be marketed as The Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds plus Triforce Heroes. So guys, what did you think of my top 10 games that deserve remasters? And even with the few stinkers that the 3DS has, there is a good handful of games that do deserve a place on the Nintendo Switch and Nintendo's next console. And I think all of the games I've shared on this list deserve a place and deserve to break free from the 3DS. I'm not talking about Chibi Robo or Federation Force here, because they can stay on the 3DS, but the games I shared on the list deserve remasters. So don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like this video, and turn your notification bell on so you don't miss another video like this one. And I will see you all in a future video. BB8 out.